Hello again everybody, Emceemur here, and it is time once again for another thrilling episode of video game prices in the 90s and today. Finishing up from last episode on a large receipt from Funko Land in the 90s, a company I'm sure some of you can remember doing business with. The first half of this invoice was NES games, and today we're going to be delving into the rest of the contents, which were all 16-bit games, some of them very near and dear to my heart. Let's take a look at the games in this episode. Starting out with some early 90s Genesis titles. Beast Wrestler. Oh my goodness, some Beast Wrestler. And a lot of you that watch Tuesday Night live stream saw us stream some of this recently, and it is such a headache. You know that I am a huge fan of Renovation products. Anything Renovation, Telenet put out was just amazing. The quality was amazing. And this game doesn't let you down either in the soundtrack department. But the gameplay leaves so much to be desired, and it's so sad because this game has the most amazing concept possibly of any game I've ever seen. Beast Wrestler is just a pain. You never know what's going to happen in it. The hit detection is bogus, if even existent in the first place. It's going to be hard to think that this actually went up in value. Up next, Fatal Labyrinth. Now, this one is complete in the box. Yes, everything included. Now, we've talked about orders from Funko Land coming with only the cartridge. So this is strange because I know I owned this game in the early 90s, and I know there was a window there where I sold some things off, but this is the last known copy of this I have, and this being the last known record of me purchasing said game. So this had to have come from them complete, which is very interesting given what I paid for it. We may be seeing an increase here. A dungeon crawler in every sense of the word, kind of roguelike from room to room. Love the way the stats were laid out in this game. This was really neat for an early title on the Sega Genesis. And then we have what may be the best strategy tactics game on the system. King's Bounty, A Conqueror's Quest. Now this is another game that we have streamed right here on the show. If you haven't played King's Bounty, find a way. This is one of the all-time greats right here. Absolutely fantastic. I have logged hours and hours of my life on this thing. Different every time you play it. Always fun to beat it over and over again. It's different every single time. You absolutely have to give this one a shot. That'll do it for the Genesis games on this invoice. Let's go to the invoice and let's get a look at those numbers. So here we are at the invoice, again dated March 19th, 1997. And first up we looked at Beast Wrestler on the Sega Genesis, a cartridge only copy, and this game coming in at only $8.10. And if I had to guess, a cartridge only copy, that's probably about what it's worth now, but we'll see. Then we go to Fatal Labyrinth, which was much nicer, a complete in-box copy, for the same low price of $8.10. I would imagine a complete in-box copy of just about anything Genesis is going to be over $8. But then we look at King's Bounty, and while it is probably one of my favorites of all time and definitely in my top 25, $22.50 is what we gave for a cartridge-only copy. And it is not a common game, but that really seems like a lot to pay. Let's take a look and see how we did on these games. The rest of the games on this invoice are all Super Nintendo and all favorites of mine from the past, starting with a hidden gem, Namco's very own Battle Cars. If you haven't played Battle Cars, my goodness, it's like F-Zero on crack with weapons, and I just can't recommend it enough. A beautiful game with a rip-roaring frickin' soundtrack. But did I pay too much for it at the time? This next game should need no introduction, and I can tell you I cut some of my RPG teeth playing the pen and paper version of this, Shadowrun, for the Super Nintendo. You know, I will say I preferred the Genesis Shadowrun that came out, but this one was equally as unique and it did its own thing. And I have to admit, I never actually finished this. It was a really complex game, and it seemed like as much time as I put into it, I would have finished it by now. I know I'll go back. Shadowrun is something very near and dear to my heart, and this is one I know in present day is pretty valuable. We'll have to see what I paid for it back in the day. And last but not least, Stunt Race FX. That's right, the good old FX chip. And while I know Star Fox is the first thing you think of when you hear FX chip, and while I know there probably are a lot of people that did play this game, or at the very least know about it and know what it is, I don't feel like there's so many people that have such great memories about it as I do. We rented this game all the time. It was such a fun game to play. It was beautiful. I mean, the colors were fantastic on it, regardless of what the graphics may be by today's standards, and it was a really fun game to play two-player. Love me some Stunt Race FX. It's going to be interesting to see where the values went though, as this is not a rare game. Well, there are the Super Nintendo games for this invoice. Let's head back to the paperwork and take a look at the prices we paid for these fine games. So here we have the prices on the Super Nintendo games. Battle Cars, looks like we paid $11.70. Now, Battle Cars is not a common game. It'll be very interesting to see where the numbers went on that. Shadowrun is definitely uncommon, rare even. $26.10 seems like an awful lot to have paid for it, but given the rarity of this game and how sought after it is, I have a good feeling that we probably are okay on that. However, Stunt Race FX, very much a common game. And $22.50 was what we paid for that. It might be worth that much had it been complete in box, but again, these are cartridge-only copies from Funko. Pretty good chance we lost out big time on old Stunt Race FX. Let's go to the numbers now and see how we did. That's going to do it for this large Funko Land receipt, and that's going to do it for another fun, thrilling episode of video game prices in the 90s and today. I hope you're enjoying what you're seeing, and I hope you're enjoying the series so far. I'm having a great time putting these together for you, and it's a great walk down memory lane for me. I can't tell you how great that feels. I hope you're going to leave a like on this video. Go ahead, leave a like. And if you have not already done so, I hope that you're going to subscribe to the Emceemur Show and hit that notification bell so you are always in the know when there's fresh content and live streams up for you to enjoy. What are your memories of these games? Surely you have some of them, and I would love to hear about them. Why don't you leave some comments in the comment section, because you know that I love getting a conversation going with you right here on the Emceemur Show, and you know that there is so much more to come in this great series. I'm going to keep bringing it to you. Thank you so much for joining me this week, Emceemur signing off for now, and I will see each and every one of you again next time.